We have a motto here in Auburn. This is the work. Whatever the challenges we have in front of us in supporting all of our students, we lean into it. We look forward to it. We embrace the challenges that come up every day as we look at how to meet the needs of our very diverse community. Back in the 1920 school year, we were looking at our numbers around the use of isolation, a school year that was shut down by the pandemic. By March, we had 344 recorded incidents of isolation. And we knew we needed to change. We knew we needed to shift our mindset of how we look at our students. Because the choice is clear. When we support our students, we can either anticipate needs and support, or we can respond to the behaviors of unmet needs. And we were doing the responding over and over and over again, and it was leading to traumatizing situations for students. And so we decided to shift our mindset as an entire system. And I have many, many stories that can relate to that. Last year, one specifically, we had a student move into Auburn that came from out of state. And the student came with a file that was this thick. And let's just call this student Kevin. Kevin came with an extremely thick file of all of the things that have happened in the past 4 years in education. And he had previously been in a behavior program. And instead of automatically assuming that he would require a behavior program in our district and he would automatically require use of isolation, his homeschool embraced him and really called him in, brought him in for a meeting with this parent and talked through what his needs are, what are his interests, what are his passions, what is it that he needs in order to be successful. And for the first time in his life, as a student, he felt heard. He's able to share how much he just seeks connection. He was able to share his experience being in a behavior program in a different state. He shared that there were many hours in just about every school day that he's lived in where he would spend time in an isolation room. He was used to eating lunch in the blue room, in the isolation room. When we were touring him around the elementary school, he was looking in every corner of the school wondering, where's the isolation room? Where's the blue room at? And sharing with him that's something that he's not going to need here because we're going to do things differently. Helped completely rewrite his story. And today he's still here with us. He rides his bike to school every single day. Yes, behaviors come up from time to time and we deal with those in those moments, but he is a thriving young man. And we are rewriting his image of what he sees as himself. We're changing his story one day at a time because we're supporting him in a way that is no longer traumatizing. This is the work. And we talk about the work in eliminating isolation. We've done this over and over and over and over again, and the numbers speak for themselves. Our isolation numbers as an entire district since the 1920 school year have dramatically dropped. This past school year, we only had 17 incidents of isolation, and a big part of that was because in April, we actually dismantled our last active isolation room. And we have focused our work on anticipating needs and supporting from the get-go, and thinking about the least intrusive way in which we can support students. Now, if you were to tell me back in the 2019-20 school year, if you were to go back 5 years and say, you no longer will have isolation rooms in 5 years, I would have said that's impossible. That can't be. I can't imagine a world. I can't imagine my district without having an isolation room. And that's okay. If you're working in schools and if you're not at that point yet, that's completely okay. In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it's done. And so as you embrace the work and we learn from each other here in this space today, if you can't focus on that big leap of eliminating that, just focus on the next step. What is the next right thing you can do to more ethically support our students who have these high needs? And when we take those steps, one step at a time, we can make the possible happen, right? We can make the impossible happen, right? And we can get to that large step of getting to a better place in how we support our students. Excited to be here today, excited to take part with all of you in this. Let's make it a great one.
Thank you so much for that, Patrick. Good morning. My name is Doua Kha, and I'm excited to preview the upcoming Positive Behavior Support Technical Assistance Manual from the Office of Superintendent of Public Instructions, which was really informed by the amazing work from our demonstration sites, such as where Patrick is from. Background first before I jump in. Since 2015, Washington state law has required that all uses of restraint and isolation be documented and reported to the districts, students' parents or guardians, OSPI, and the public. So in the 2023-24 academic school year, with over 1 million students enrolled in Washington schools, there were more than 3,800 distinct students were restrained and over 1,600 were isolated, leading to over 15,000 reports incidents of restraints and over 8,000 instances of isolations. And so that same year in 2023, the Washington State Legislature tasked OSPI with creating a technical assistance manual to really help districts reduce these practices. And so this was in response to the data showing that restraint and isolation really hurt both staff and students and are used disproportionately with students with disabilities, students of color, male students, and students facing economic or housing challenges, including those who are experiencing homelessness or in foster care. Furthermore, and again, this is just within the 2023-24 school year alone, we see that 85% of incidences of restraint and isolation occur with students between preschool and 5th grade. 93% of incidences of restraints and isolation occur with students with disability, even though they only comprise 60% of our student enrollment. And then we see further that students with disabilities were 25 times more likely to experience one or more incidences of restraint or isolation than their peers without. Meanwhile, Black students were 1.8 times more likely than their white students counterparts. And American Indian Alaska Native students were 1.6 times more likely to experience one or more instances of restraint and isolation. We also see too that students of 2 or more races were 1.4 times more likely to experience one or more incidences. So we really see here that it is really an equity, an issue of equity as well when it comes to this book. So based off these data, the purpose of the upcoming Positive Behavior Support Manual is really to build trauma-informed, equitable, and evidence-based systems that foster safe, inclusive environments for all students. The manual provides practical guidance for educators, leaders, and was developed in partnership with our Reducing Restraint and Eliminating Isolation demonstration sites, whose expertise and on-the-ground experience really informed a lot of these strategies and tools that were included in here, especially the MTSS alignment, individualized intervention plans, disability rights protections, and crisis prevention and de-escalation. So what I love about the manual is that it really is designed to address the most effective way to reduce restraints and eliminate isolation, which is prevention through positive and multi-tier behavior support practices. In doing so, the manual is structured into 6 sections. Section 1 is understanding positive and trauma-informed behavior support. Section 2 is school and district systems that support social, emotional, and behavioral well-being. Section 3 is classroom practices for safe and inclusive learning. Section 4 is effective support for students with extensive behavior learning needs. Section 5 is considerations for students with disability. And Section 6 is crisis prevention and de-escalation. And so these 6 sections really anchor the work that we do and really give us a shared roadmap for strengthening supports across our districts to really thrive and strive together. Understanding the manual's purpose and contents gives us the foundation that we need, and establishing clear definitions of restraint and isolation also really ensures that we are all working from the same shared understanding as we engage in this work today and beyond. And so within the manual itself, restraints is referred to as the use of physical intervention or force to control a student, including the use of a restraint device that restricts a student's freedom of movement. Whereas isolation is referred to any form of enclosure a student may not leave, This does not include a student's voluntary use of a quiet space for self-calming or a temporary unlocked location used to support a positive behavior intervention plan. And so as we continue this work today and beyond, let's just continue to keep these definitions in mind so that we all have the same place of understanding. And as I close my piece and pass the mic back to Dr. Boyles, I just want to again note that the manual is still in the final ADA accessibility review. And once it's approved, we'll make sure to share with everyone. And then we'll also drop into the chat too with the link to where you can find it once it is published. Thank you so much.